Good morning, and welcome to day 15. We are officially halfway through on our 30 days of energy boosting tips for breast cancer survivors. This is my gift to you this October. I know it can be so overwhelming to be just surrounded by pink and I don't know, sometimes it can have such a negative effect on us, I think, mind and body and spirit. And so I want to do something a little different for you this October that was energy boosting, that was going to help you feel lighter and instead of weighing you down more, which I know so many of my clients have said to me is how they feel in October. And so I'm wondering if you have trouble falling asleep at night, right? You get into bed and you just start tossing and turning. You're so exhausted, but you have trouble actually falling asleep. Or perhaps you fall asleep super easily because you are drained, only to find yourself waking up a couple of hours later with your head spinning on that never-ending to-do list. And then you start tossing and turning. It's almost like you've got restless leg syndrome. You don't know where to put your legs. You're doing this. And then you know what? Hot flash comes in. And then you're like, oh, I'm awake. And what do? We pick up our phone maybe and start scrolling. Well, today I wanted to share with you about one of my clients, Kayla, and obviously she's given me permission to share her story. And Kayla came to me after her breast cancer treatment was over. She had had a double mastectomy. She'd had some reconstruction. She was on letrozole, which for those of you that don't know is an aromatase inhibitor for women after menopause. So when Kayla and I first met, like most of you, we're all here for a reason, right? Because we're exhausted and drained and wiped out. And Kayla was no exception to that. She was so drained. And what she realized was that this fatigue was affecting every single aspect of her life, as it does, right? Now, Kayla recognized that she wasn't sleeping well, right? And this was one of the first things that we looked at. I always say that, like, when we sleep well, we can cope with so much more. But when we have this level of fatigue, Kayla had said to me that her husband was like, could you stop? Because she was constantly picking and gnawing at him, and she was yelling at her kids. She had 2 little ones. And it was this constant barrage of complaining and picking and yelling and screaming. And when I spoke to her, I mean, honestly, my heart was melting because she felt so bad about the way that she was treating everybody, but it felt so out of her control. And you may feel the same way, right? And you may be looking at yourself saying, I just don't even know who I am or if I like myself anymore right now. I get it. Things are so tough when we're dealing with that level of fatigue. That's why it's one of the things that we have to look at, because when we are not as tired, it changes everything. It changes our relationships with our significant others, with our kids, with our friends, with our family, with our work colleagues, with whomever is in our life. And so, Kayla, we talked through some of Kayla's symptoms, what she was feeling, and she was dealing with the hot flashes. Most what I think isn't talked about a whole lot is the fact that one of the major side effects to our breast cancer journey, no matter what the treatment is for most of us, we are then dealing with menopausal symptoms. Me personally, I was thrown into surgical menopause. I had double mastectomy, 3 months followed by a complete hysterectomy because I carry the BRCA2 gene. And I wanted to do what I could to lower my risk. But that wasn't Kayla's case. She was diagnosed with breast cancer and was just following that route. But she was dealing with all the hot flashes and body aches that she didn't know, like just felt weird from head to toe. She was dealing with these mood swings and this impatience and intolerance for anything. And she was feeling really, really low. She actually found me on Pinterest and reached out, and we started to have a chat. because she was feeling really low. And again, this is one of the things that isn't talked about a lot on this journey, right? People assume that if we're low, we're going to be low through treatment, when the reality is we may be low through treatment, but so often we're feeling even more blue and lower after treatment is over. And that can be totally confusing, right? Because we think we should be done. We should be feeling better. We're done with treatment. When in fact, recovery, the next stage of recovery, I should say, has just begun. And that can go on for years. There's actually a formula that I share. So, Kayla was having trouble falling asleep at night. And she said her head would hit the pillow, right? Totally exhausted, like drained, completely wiped out. Kids are finally in bed. Hubby's watching, the game or whatever he's watching. And finally she gets to just get into bed and lay down. And even though she was completely exhausted, she would be tossing and turning and trying to go to sleep. And so what we talked about, and it's perfect really if you are a mom or a grandmom, and you've ever brought up a child, we understand the value of a nighttime routine, right, for babies. And what a nighttime routine does is it signals our brain that it's time to go to sleep. Now, the quality of our sleep is crucially important because our body cleanses at night. It restores itself at night. And if we are not sleeping well, then these functions that affect our energy very directly are not running efficiently. So we want to make sure that we are getting good quality sleep and that we are able to fall asleep. And so what I have found to be very useful, and it worked great for Kayla, I have to say, but I work with it with a lot of my other clients too. I follow this myself, and that's a nighttime routine. Now, that can look a little different for each of us, and there's no right or wrong. I'm not going to say it's not wrong. There are things that work better than others. Let's put it that way instead, right? So what could be included in your nighttime routine? Well, here's the hard and fast thing, okay? Is that we want to be putting these babies down at least 2 hours before we go to bed. That includes an iPad. That includes a laptop. TV, I exclude from this because typically TVs are much further away from us, but we want to be eliminating the blue light from our electronics because that blue light stimulates our brain, which is often why you may fall asleep and then wake up again, or if you're having trouble even going to sleep. Because if we are on our phones more often than not, we're scrolling, right? We're scrolling through Instagram or Pinterest or Facebook or whatever it is. And what I want you to think about with that is it's not just the blue light, right? Earlier in this series, we talked about where our focus goes, our energy flows. So if we are focusing on scrolling, where's our energy going? Is it going into restoring ourselves, or is it going into the energy of the universe and social media? The latter, right? Our energy is going outward. We don't want that. We want to keep that to ourselves, especially overnight. So think about that. Number one is turning off those electronics. We could take it so many steps further than that, but we're going to start there. Number two is a nice cup of tea, obviously decaffeinated herbal tea. One of my favorites it's called Happy Tummy Tea. And that's to help my body digest while I'm sleeping, right? It's ginger, and it's got some peppermint in it too. And it's a green tea base, but it helps my body to digest overnight. So that, right, I'm aiding my body, I'm helping my body. So what does that mean? My body doesn't need to work quite as hard because I'm helping it out. Makes sense, right? You can try things like an Epsom salt bath. one of my other faves, right? That magnesium going into the body, helping with those body aches, helping with those restless legs, helping the body recoup, but also helping muscles relax so that we can sleep better, right? Conserving energy. If we think of muscles when they're like this, how much energy are we using versus, right? Even energetically, you can feel the difference. So when we are relaxed, our body is utilizing less energy. It's one of the reasons why I love these Epsom salt baths. Now, we mentioned magnesium in the Epsom salts. Another thing you can do is magnesium oil on the bottom of your feet. Now, here's my little Karen trick here. Do not put magnesium oil on your bottom of your feet and then go to the bathroom and go pee before you go to bed, because you will slip on the floor. You just put oil on the bottom of your feet. So when you are done with everything, then put the oil on your feet, let it dry, and then tuck your feet under your covers. Okay? Wipe your hands off with a tissue or something like that. And something else, the last thing that I like to do before I go to bed, again, to set my body energetically up. And by the way, this is not how I broke my elbow. So don't worry about it. But I did learn that years ago with the magnesium oil. So one of the other things that I love to do before going to bed as part of my nighttime routine, and you may want to explore this, is a gratitude journal, right? Again, helping the body release stress before we go to bed is going to help us be able to settle in better, sleep better, have less chance of waking up, but also if we do wake up, being able to get back to sleep better. You may want to do a gratitude journal, literally writing down 3 things that you're grateful for in your day. And I would love for one of those to be your body. Right? Again, we talked about that as part of our series. You may do meditation before you go to bed. You may listen to some sound bath healing or something like that to go to bed. So the calmer we are when we get into bed, the better quality of sleep we are likely to have. All right. So Kayla actually adopted most of these. She shared that she tried, it was really hard for her, but she tried the no electronics rule. She ended up managing about an hour before bed. But she said even that allowed her to take like a breath as she got into bed. And she noticed that she was able to focus more and be present on herself and her husband during that time versus, just like we were sharing, outward going energy. And so she found that one tip alone super helpful. She started to have a cup of tea before she went to bed and the Epsom salt baths. And although she felt like she was really indulging in a bath, she knew that her own kids had loved their baths before they went to bed. And so she figured that she would give that a try. She soon became a really quick fan and started to sleep so much better. Now, what did that mean? It meant that when she woke up in the morning, even though, yes, there is that underlying breast cancer related fatigue that sometimes we're still going to have when we wake up, her body did not physically feel as tired, right? So we know that when we're feeling those aching and pain and all the rest of it, it sucks us down. Even, right? It just sucks us down, makes us more tired. So if we can aid the body and our mind to sleep better, to do what it's supposed to do efficiently overnight, then it makes sense that we're going to feel less fatigued. So yes, she would still have days where she would wake up tired. But she noticed very quickly, like within a week, like her whole attitude with her husband and with her kids changed. She was much more patient. I actually got a text message from her husband saying, "Thank you." He felt like he wasn't a dartboard anymore, having constant darts thrown at him. Because bless him, he was just trying. He was trying to be there for her, trying to be there for the kids, trying to be supportive. And, it's often so understated, the role of the caregiver in our breast cancer journeys. It's not easy. And so, again, yes, we want to be working on these energy things for us, but there's also a trickle down effect, right? Of how our energy, our mood, our sleep have an impact on everybody else. So it's really important. And it feels really good to be able to do a few things that are not horrible to do. I mean, come on, have a cup of tea in the bath. Why not? Right? Try not to have alcohol for a couple of reasons. Number one, it increases your risk of breast cancer, period. And number two, that alcohol will actually, it's a depressant and it's also a stimulant. So it's going to stimulate your brain and it's going to bring your mood down. So again, this is not my place to judge. I don't have alcohol because, or I rarely have alcohol, I should say, because number one, I'm on letrozole. Number two, I'm doing everything I can to not get this disease again. And I don't want those effects for me personally. Again, it's up to you. It's up to you. So anyway, that's it for today. Think about a nighttime routine. Think about what yours might include. I'd love to hear, so let me know in the comments. If you are following along on our 30-day calendar, or if you didn't grab the calendar yet, please do so, right? So that you can go and like pick these energy boosting tips as and when you need them. But if you do not have that calendar in front of you, if you're anything like me, you're going to forget most of these tips. So I urge you to please grab that one sheet calendar so that you can refer to it, so that you can go back to it as and when you need to. Okay. I'll make sure that the link is posted wherever you're seeing this video. And again, my name is Karen Del Maestro. You can find me over at karendelmaestro.com or in the Healthy Living After Breast Cancer Facebook community. And today, as I'm recording these videos, it is Friday. And that means that if you want to get the videos over the weekend, you need to grab your calendar, because this way you'll get them right into your inbox. You won't need to go looking for them, because I'm just recording live Monday through Friday. So make sure that if you do want to get those 2 extra tips over the weekend, that you grab your calendar. Okay. And you'll also get with that all of my other energy boosting tips for breast cancer survivors. Feel free to let me know any comments. Like I said, let me know what you're going to try for your nighttime routine. I hope that you get the same kind of results that Kayla has had and a number of my other clients who've tried this, right? Think about a baby. They do so much better when they have their nighttime routine, right? That structure. And there's nothing that changes, you know, as an adult. We need that structure too. That's when most of us thrive. And so why not give our bodies what we need? That's our choice. That's our choice. That's the coolest thing, is that we get to choose, right? So that's it for today, guys. Have an amazing day. I hope you've had a great week, and I look forward to seeing you again live on Monday. Like I said, you want the recordings over the weekend, just make sure you grab your calendar and you'll get them sent right to your inbox. Okay? Bye for now. Have a great day.